Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to do our Desmos activity, right? The Paris Louvre You one. So we're gonna get in here by just opening up everything that you need. There's a Google Classroom code, Desmos Classroom code that I'll add to Google Classroom. So in the case that you were out that day, you can find all these things in Google Classroom too, okay? But you will need to use Desmos to get through. So once you open up this image, notice we got a lot of lines, okay? And your job is to graph 12 of them that coincide with the linear features of the Louvre pyramid below. So we could use this pyramid or the other one on the side right here. It's still the Louvre pyramid. And, you know, we could even use the reflections here too, because why not, right? That would all be fine with me. So I don't want you to do anything with this little building over here on the side. We want to try to stick to these lines, all right? We're going to start with this outline. So I want to try to deal with you guys the first few things that we talked about here. One of the things we talked about today that I'll pull up is this transformation sheet, okay? We learned how to translate our lines up and down, okay? And left and right is something that we're learning about a little bit more too. So when I come back, we'll focus in a little bit more on watching specific points move left and right. In this video, we're going to talk about reflection a lot because I think this is like the easiest way to get a line like where you need it to be, and you can make the little micro adjustments by copying and pasting, just adding a little negative sign, honestly. So we're going to get in here and we'll be using this one, okay? So notice that a reflection over the x-axis is where we put the negative for the whole function is going to be negative, so that means we change the sign of all the terms, whereas this one is telling me only to change the sign of the x to negative. And that gives me a reflection over y. So we're going to jump into this example that we're looking at right here again from our Paris Louvre You activity. And let's begin. So the first thing is we have been using f of x values, right? So I mean, it'd be nice if we had that because this was the terms we've been using. And I want you to realize that it's the same thing as y, really. If we do f of x equals 5, okay? If I erase the f of x and change that into y, I want you to see that it gives us the same exact line, right? The only difference is that f of x is a notation that lets us kind of calculate numbers a little faster and kind of keep track of them ahead of time. So this is why we want to start using f of x instead. Okay, I want you guys to notice that this line does not coincide with this linear feature of the Louvre that I intended to catch, right? I wanted it to go right on there. It's missing a little bit, okay? So earlier today I was like, well, maybe, you know, it's not 1. Maybe it's like 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3. Wait a minute, what's going on? Okay, are you guys learning? We can see that this slope is not fitting better, it's fitting worse. So we must need to make the slope smaller. It must be smaller than 1, okay? So a number that's smaller than 1 might be 0.1, okay? But there's a lot more. There's 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, or 0.9. And we can see if we put 0.9, look, it coincides exactly with the line that we want, okay? Now, there's more that we'll talk about later, but for now I just want you guys to learn how to reflect the points and everything like that. But I'm not crazy about how this line is going straight through. It's messing up my image, right? So I'm going to show you guys how to fix that a little later. All right, for now, let's try to take this line and let's reflect it across the y-axis, right? Okay? And we just saw to reflect across the y-axis means that I have to change my x into negative x. So do you guys recall what's going to happen? I'm going to change my x into a blank parenthesis. Is how we did this in class, right? And instead of having an x in there, what do I have? We have a negative x. And look at what that does. It reflects my line across the y-axis. Now the reflection is perfect. It's the image that is not perfect. Notice that this line would probably be going straight through all of these if we were right in the middle, right? You see that? This pattern should be continuing, but because the person that took this photo was off-center just a little bit, it's not perfect, right? This red line does not coincide with this one. So we're going to have to change the slope to make that happen. And so to do that, I could try like 1.1. That looks like a little too much. All right, so let's try 0.9 again. And let's try what happens if I do obviously we need, 0.95. Okay, we could try 0.97. Okay, and whatever you do, when you get it to look good, we're good. Okay, we'll take that. So right now this line is on top. I got 2, but I need 12. Okay, well the good thing is that there's copy and paste functions in the world. So I could go here and add this one, and now that I got a green one, let's say I want to put this one underneath here, right? So I wanted to intercept this line like right about there somewhere, which looks, it's somewhere in between 4 point, it's probably like 4.6 or something, right? So we try 4.6, look at that, it's not that bad. Okay, I could try 4.5, right? Maybe 4.6 is pretty good. Okay, now we can see that the slope isn't really that good. So I have to mess with the slope a little bit. So I could say, okay, well let's try the slope of 9.5. Okay, maybe 9.4, and you make it look the way you want. Okay, in this case I got 4. That's decent. Okay, well now I want to get the next line, so maybe I'm going to try to take this line and reflect that across the y-axis. So how do I do that? Well, I go copy and paste this one, and then I'm going to change the x into a negative x. Okay, like I said, look, that reflects me over here, but now we see this line's kind of off, and actually it didn't even really go through the place that we wanted, right? So maybe I don't even want that purple line away. The purple line, we could just trash it right now, okay? What I'm thinking I could do is the translation down of this red line right here. So that's this one. Notice when I click the line, the little option box becomes available for me to pick it. So when you get confused, you can click an object and see what it is. All right, so I'm going to highlight that and copy and paste it. I'll paste that in here. And then now let's think about something, right? I want to bring this line down so that it lines up here maybe. So instead of being +5, maybe it's +4. Okay, and we see that that's like, it lines up with this one almost. But if I want to put it here, I'm going to have to move it up more, right? So now let's try 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, right? You see that? And then we just adjust it, okay? 0.97 wasn't good, so maybe 0.96, maybe 0.98, 0.99, right? Okay, we're going to need maybe 1.1. All right, that's too much, so maybe 1.05. You get it? 1.0, 1.0. Yeah, 1 kind of works fine. That'll work for me, right? Okay, you see that? And if I wanted it to look a little bit better, then maybe I can maybe go like 4.4 or maybe 4.45 or something, you know, and you get it to be exactly where you want, 4.47 or whatever, right? We got it to work. So look, so far I have 4 lines. I'm already almost done with this thing and I just started, okay? I just want you guys to get 12, and honestly, you guys should experiment a little bit with the plane, so try to do something on purpose instead of just moving things down, right? All right, well, there's another problem. Like I was telling you guys, I want you guys to learn how to cut off these things so that we don't get the part of the line that I don't want, right? So what part of the line do I want it to show me? I want it to show me everything in between here, right? Because I don't want that part to show. And I don't want this part to show either, right? So what I'm going to do is put the curly braces in here. If you guys remember what I mean by curly braces, I mean these things, okay? And then in between there, we're going to put X, and we're going to have this little compound inequality. The numbers that I put in here are going to tell me when to cut this off. If I put 0 right here, it's going to make sure it's always less than 0 for that first one. And then we want to go all the way up to here. So if I put less than -3, I want you guys to see what happens. I would put greater than -3. So I put -3 here. Look at what happens. You can see that there's a little bit left, but I want it to stop here. So now what I can say is, okay, well I can say 2. And look, that's not enough. So I'm going to try 2.2, 2.3. 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. Eventually you guys will learn and you'll say, oh right, that's not exactly what I wanted, so you're going to say 2.75, and you guys realize I'm teaching you how to draw with math right now, okay? If I wanted to get this next one, what would I do? I'm going to put some curly braces, and I'm going to put X in the middle of a compound inequality. Okay, and notice that again, now I want it to give me everything where X is greater than 0, so that's got to be there, okay? And I want it to show me everything less than 5 over here might be good, so we could put 5. And look, we can see that it goes a little bit beyond there. So if I wanted that to not go so far, then maybe I'll say, okay, well, we start messing with the details. We do 4.9, 4.8. Maybe that went too far, so 4.9 was kind of good. So you guys see where I'm going with this. I'm trying to make sure that we can connect these little domains of our functions that we're graphing so that we only get the part we need. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do the green part. And again, I hope you guys can understand that this can be done through trial and error. The most important thing is that you know how to set these up, right? The little compound inequality. And so for that green one, we know we're stopping somewhere around -3. So I can just go ahead and put -3 for now. We'll adjust it later. Okay, now we got to stop somewhere before 1, so we can just call it 1. And look, we're going way too far in both directions, right? So now this negative 3, we're going to make that number smaller. So we'll change this to negative 2.7, 2.6, 2.5. See that? That might work. Maybe 2.4, 2.45. You see? 2.47. Whatever you're going to do. Okay? This one up here, though, we want it to stop here, not to go all the way to 1. Right? You can see that's the point where we have an x-coordinate of 0.999. Right? So notice, because there's no little equal symbol here, if I add an equals, watch what happens. Okay, that little line just pops up automatically. If you try to type an equal symbol, it'll just show up. Okay, so now what if I make that 0.5 or something? Okay, that wasn't enough, so 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. Okay, you guys get this? So again, curly braces. I'm going to put X in the middle of these two things. Alright, as much as this is just me trying to teach you guys to do the numbers, you're going to make some mistakes. Please talk it up with your group members. I know you guys could do this if you guys are resourceful, but do not copy and paste the same numbers that other people have, okay? You guys got to do something creative to make sure that this is your own process, right? So if I see that some numbers are way too suspiciously close, I'm going to go investigate. So please don't copy the same exact lines as anybody else. Pick a different one some kind of way. We're going to do that purple one, and as we saw, we're going from here to here, so I could go ahead and say that this is bigger than negative 1, alright? And then we know it's going to stop somewhere around here, so we could say less than 4. And look, we didn't really go far enough, so I'm going to have to do 4.2, 4.3, right? Maybe 4.25 would have worked, okay? And then here you can see we went too far, right? I don't want to go all the way out here. I wanted to stop right there. So the negative 1, we could have stopped somewhere around 0.27, right? So we can see that negative 0.3 won't even be enough. It's still pretty close. And look, our human eyeballs can't really see it, right? It's pretty close, but it's there. Right? So if we were to, get a little closer, like 0.28, it's going to be really, really hard to even notice the difference, right? Okay, so like I said, I did 4 lines. I trimmed them off. We got everything looking mathematically. I used reflections and copy and pasting to make it happen. And the lines coincide, okay? So this is the activity. Good luck, okay? But the last part that it says is take a screenshot and make a Google slide that contains all equations, all right? So I'm not totally following all directions because I didn't do all 12, and you guys do have to do all 12. So I'll show you the way it looks is that we would take a snip, and when I get in here, I'll take the snip of the work that I did. So if this is the part that I focused on, that would be the part that I put in my slide. And then I'll get into Google Slides and I'll just make a quick presentation that has this image in it, right? That's the most important thing, to make sure that it dominates the slide, hopefully. Okay, and then what you want to do is grab the equations that we had. So I had this here, okay? You'll have 12 of them, so you guys will have a little bit more work to do when you copy and paste these, but I'm going to get them right now. Okay, and then if I grab my ones, I should probably get all the little inequalities and everything inside of there. So notice that really didn't work that well, so what should I do? I could shrink the size down of everything. You see this? By shrinking the font, I could now fit everything. So I can get in here and keep all the color codes and everything. Is kind of important because now we know that when I go put this, what color meant what. Okay, now that might be way too big. So I just find a spot to put this somewhere in the slide so it's out the way. And I still got my work. Okay, so this is what we need. You guys don't have to give me any special labels or anything. The main thing I want you guys to do is to understand the synergy between our desmos. We're going to be taking screenshots. We'll take our little technical math terms. Eventually, we'll start taking these things and make them into specific text boxes that will work for this kind of activity. All right? But for today, we don't have to do that. Don't worry about the details of the text box. But another day, that'll be another battle that we fight. Okay, so this would be complete. This would be what I asked you guys to show me when you turn in the assignment in Google Classroom. I'll be looking for this one slide, basically, okay, that contains all this information. So So good luck. I hope this helped out. This would be due for homework. I'm expecting this done when I get back to class on Wednesday. This should already be done, so we won't get more time. So good luck. Get it done.